Hello dear students, welcome again. We have been seeing about Mendel's laws of inheritance. So here we have been seeing about monohybrid cross, and then we have seen Mendel's laws. In those Mendel's laws we have seen law of dominance, law of segregation, and we also have seen the exceptions of Mendel's laws, like incomplete dominance, where we have seen in the snapdragon flowers, and we have seen the codominance. We have seen codominance, and codominance was given example with the ABO blood groups of human. So moving on further, we are going to see the inheritance pattern of two genes, that is called dihybrid cross. So now we are going to have a look at dihybrid cross. In this dihybrid cross, we are observing the inheritance pattern of two genes, which means that we are considering two characters in each cross from each parent of the plant. So suppose here we take this cross is from the Mendel. Mendel has taken this dihybrid cross where he has chosen the two characters. The two characters are round and yellow. The seed is round, it is in the shape, and the color of the seed is yellow. And the other plant which is contrasting to it is wrinkled pea, and having the green color pea. So these two plants are carrying two different kinds of characters in them from each plant. So here we are observing two pairs of contrasting characters from each plant. So on crossing these two characters, we find that first we are going to analyze here. We see the genotypes here. If you see the genotypes we see for round it is capital R, and for yellow it is small y. And since wrinkled it is recessive, so it is smaller, and green is recessive over the yellow, so it is small y. So when we take these alleles of each character, so we find that in the gametes only one of the allele is passed on here. So the one allele, since these two are homozygous, the only allele that is getting inside here is capital R. From yellow, so from here entirely it is one allele from here, one allele from here, it is capital R, capital Y. And from the other plant, we see that wrinkled and green, they are also homozygous, and it is small r, it gives small r, and then small y gives small y. So here in the gametes they carry only one allele. So since it is dihybrid cross, it is having the two alleles of each gene, right? So these alleles, they are combined together, they are brought together, these gametes are carried, and this gamete is present in the anther, and this gamete is present in the female gamete, that is ovule, or in the ovary. So here these gametes, they are carried in the ovule, exactly it is in the egg, right? So these gametes are coming together to form the F1 generation, and these gametes, they fertilize and they form the new plant, and this new plant will give rise to seeds, and the seeds that are formed are they are giving out round and yellow seeds. So these round and yellow seeds are resembling only one of the parent. So here you see round and yellow. Although it is round and yellow, we see the genotype. If we see the genotype, it is heterozygous. So in the heterozygous, we see that one parent, both the parents they contribute the gametes. Through gametes, they are contributing the alleles. So these alleles, they are forming the heterozygous. However, since round and yellow are dominant over these wrinkled and green, it is expressed in the F1 generation. And to find out further, we are going to do about F2 generation. So in order to do that, in order to study next generation, we are going to self-pollinize it. So which means that this round and yellow of F1 generation plant is self-pollinated to see the various kinds of seeds formed in this. So here, after self-pollinating, we get whatever the seeds we get. We are going to the self-pollinated plants. So where we see from the male and the female. From the male, we see there are gametes which are possible gametes formed, and the female also there are possible gametes formed. So from male and female we write all the possible gametes, and these possible gametes when we write, we find various combinations of these genotypes, and as we find various combination of this genotype, we find that different kind of phenotype is also existing here. So the phenotype, if we see here, the ratio of this phenotype, if we see here, it is round yellow which is 9, and round green 3, wrinkled yellow 3, and wrinkled green 1. So here the phenotypic ratio is 9:3:3:1. So totally 16, because all these are 16. 4 into 4 is 16. So the 16, if you add all of them, it is 16. So round yellow forms the most, and then wrinkled green forms the least. In between, these two are the new characters which are seen, round green and wrinkled yellow. These are the hybrid, the new hybrids possible in this here. So if you see here, round was along with the yellow color. So the round seed was along with the yellow color, and wrinkled seed was along with the green color, but here in the F2 generation we see it along with the yellow color. So this hybrid character formation, this formation of hybrid is seen in this kind of dihybrid cross. So what to note here is, we have to note that the phenotypic ratio is 9:3:3:1, and we know how these genotypes are formed. We write the possible gametes, and whatever the alleles that gametes can carry, we are writing them on each side of this Punnett square, and we make the possible combinations here, and we get possible outcomes. So after this we write down the phenotypic ratio, and we found that phenotypic ratio is 9:3:3:1. And if you have seen clearly in this cross is very interesting. In this cross, what we see is, we see that there is round and green, but in the parental trait the round and green were not together. These two characters were not together here. The characters, it was round and yellow and wrinkled and green, but here in the F2 generation we see round and green together, yellow and wrinkled and yellow together. So this new set of combinations are formed here, and this tells something about segregation. So thereafter Mendel proposes the law of independent assortment. Assortment means separation or segregation. So here he proposes that when two pairs of traits, so two pairs of traits means we are having the two different characters which are combined in a hybrid, segregation of one pair of character is independent of other pair of character. Or you see here, round and yellow, these are two pairs of character, but when they are combined together, they are not going to be together. They are going to segregate independently, and they are forming the new combinations. This is what law of independent assortment speaks of. So in a dihybrid cross, the alleles of different genes are inherited independently. When we say independently means it is without any declaration of any other gametes, or independently means without having any hindrance. So it just gives a random possible combination. So that is independently here. So in the dihybrid cross, the previous cross we saw the alleles of different genes. So here the different genes are, one is round and another one is yellow. So these two genes, the different genes are inherited. These two are inherited independently, and they are not going to bind together. So this round and yellow is not going to stay together forever here. So it is going to be separate. They are going to segregate, and they are going to form new possible combination in the F2 generation. So these factors randomly they are rearranging in the offspring in this F1 generation and F2 generation, producing both parental and new combination of characters. So during Punnett square, we can easily identify how this segregation of alleles are going on here, right? So the Punnett square can be understood. Using the Punnett square, we can understand the independent assortment here, and this independent assortment is occurring during the meiosis. So during the cell division. So we know how cell division is going to occur in the cell where the chromosomes are segregating, which we are going to study shortly, and we'll identify how this segregation is very important to find out chromosomal theory of inheritance, right? So for now what we need to understand is, we need to understand that in a dihybrid cross, when the two genes are together and when they are allowed to form the gametes, and in the next generation these gametes are segregating independently and they are forming the new combinations independently. Coming to Mendel's work, so far we have been discussing about the Mendel's work, but this Mendel work was published in around 1865. So though the Mendel has published his work of inheritance of characters in 1865, but it remained unrecognized. Unrecognized means it was not identified, or it did not come into light for several reasons and for several years. So it came into light only in 1900s. So almost 35 years after his publishing, it came into light. So the reasons for unrecognition, reasons for ignorance is because of various reasons. The reasons being, first reason is the communication. During those days, the communication was very difficult. Here, now research is going on vividly now, but whatever a scientific discovery is occurring in now, if it is published, we will all know immediately. The communication is very fast now and very easily disseminated. But back those days, the communication was only through papers or orally, which is very difficult, and through papers it was not much widely published. So communication was difficult, so his work could not be widely publicized. And then his concept of genes as stable until, that is, controlled expression. So he was giving the genes, he was giving the concept of genes. He told that there are factors which are stably descending down from the parents to the next generation, and during this descendants they are not going to blend with each other. So, and he also said that these factors, they are occurring in pairs, and he called them as alleles. So he said that there are genes which are stably transferring from generation to generation, and these genes are made up of alleles, and these alleles are not getting blended. Blended means they are not going to mix. So without blending, they are transferring from generation to generation. So this concept of genes made up of alleles which are not getting blended was not accepted back then. And then his approach of using mathematics. So this is very crucial in this because nobody has ever explained the biological phenomena using the mathematics. But Mendel had a different approach of using the mathematics to explain the biological phenomena. It was new and it was unacceptable back then. So people were ignorant to accept this concept. And the last one is, he could not provide any physical proof for the existence of factors or the genes. He was been saying that genes are present, genes are occurring in pairs and they are transferred from generation to generation, but he could not give the physical proof. Where exactly are the genes? Which molecules are exactly carrying the genes? So where is it present? Is it present inside the cell or outside the cell? Is it coming in the blood or is it coming in any other manner? So he could not give a physical proof where exactly the genes are located. So these are the four reasons by which his work was not recognized for several years, and this was finally came into light only after rediscovering of Mendel's work. So which was done by Karl Correns, Erich von Schermach and Hugo de Vries. So these are the three scientists who brought back the Mendel's work again into the limelight, and then they have been studying his work and they have rediscovered that Mendel's work the results are being stable and they are going to be universal. They have identified that Mendel's, whatever the result he has published, the same result is going to obtain even with the other plants. So they have discovered that it is working. So they have verified that Mendel's work is correct. So Meanwhile, in the same time around 1900s, the advancement in microscopy. So microscopes were fastly developing in this time. People were obsessed to see the things closely in the magnified view. So during this time, the microscopy was widely improving, and this increase in the advancement of microscopy helped us to see the cells and cell division. So during the cell division pattern, they see some thread-like structures which are multiplying and they are dividing. So this led to discovery of chromosomes. So as the chromosomes, we know that they are the colored bodies. So under the microscope, they saw that there are something which are called as colored bodies. They are thread-like structures, and they are getting doubled before the cell division. So they saw that there are some colored structures present under the microscope. So chromo means color, zome is body. So colored bodies. So these colored bodies are observed under the microscope. So these are named as chromosomes. So chromosomes are already identified by then. So this correlation between rediscovering of Mendel's laws and identifying the chromosomes during the cell division, this has marked a greater advancement. This linking between these chromosomes and rediscovering of Mendel's laws or Mendel's work is very crucial aspect in this. So meanwhile, in 1902, this Walter Sutton and Theodore Boveri. So Sutton and Boveri, these two scientists were working independently. When we say independently, they were not working together, they were working without knowing each other. But their work was been going in the same parallel lines, and they developed that chromosome theory of inheritance, which means that chromosomes are responsible for inheritance. So they were identifying that the behavior of chromosome is similar to behavior of genes. So how this genes behavior is similar to chromosomes, we are going to identify in this theory. So when they have proposed chromosomal theory of inheritance, you see here, we did not know that these are the chromosomes and these kind of genes are present on them. But what we knew is, in our previous class, we have seen that these capital Y are these were segregating independently. They formed as gametes and they were transferred from generation to generation. This is what we have been knowing here. But after understanding how these chromosomes separate, that is been interesting. So this chromosome separation is interesting because the chromosomes just before cell division means, here you see this is a meiosis. So before meiosis, these chromosomes, they are getting doubled. They are increasing their number. They are getting doubled, and then thereafter they are going to segregate. So this is very important correlation between the gametes which are occurring in pairs, and this pair of gametes, they are transferred only one of them into the next generation. So the behavior of gametes, the behavior of genes, and the behavior of chromosomes are lying in the parallel direction. Means the genes, they are also occurring in pairs, and they are also segregating during the gamete formation, and they are also transferred. So genes are working along with the chromosomes. So that is what they have to say, that as the chromosome replicates, the genes are also doubled, and then here, and these chromosomes are segregating, and they are forming into individual units. Or these chromosomes which are divided, they are distributed into the two daughter cells, and these again further divided into 4. So totally one cell is giving into 4 cells during the meiosis. So in these gametes are formed which are carrying only one chromosome and one gamete or one gene. So they want to say that these chromosomes are the ones which are carrying the genes on them. So they say that these are the chromosomes which are behaving like the genes. So the genes and chromosomes, they behave similarly. Therefore, these genes are carried on the chromosomes. So chromosomes are the ones which are the vehicles which are carrying the genes. That is what they want to say. That genes are present on the chromosomes, and these chromosomes are carrying the genes, and these chromosomes, they are inherited in the next generation to carry the characters. So they say that chromosomes are the vehicles of this inheritance. So if you see the behavior of chromosomes and genes, so chromosomes and genes, how similar they are behaving. So here A and B were not given here, they are not given here. We have to identify which is gene and which is chromosome here. So A is occurring in pairs, the B is also occurring in pairs. And this is, they segregate at the time of gamete formation such that only one of each pair is transmitted to a gamete. Same here, segregate at the gamete formation and only one of each pair is transmitted to a gamete. So they both are similar here, and then independent pairs segregate independently of each other, and one pair segregate independently of another pair. So here A and B are so same that they almost behave same. So A can be chromosomes, A can be genes, B can be chromosomes. So here we have to say that A is chromosome, B is genes. So they are occurring in pairs, they are segregating during time of gamete formation, and they are also segregating, or they are segregating independently of each other, though they are occurring in the pairs. So the chromosomes and genes, they are behaving similarly. Therefore, these come to a conclusion of chromosomal theory of inheritance. So it was proposed by Walter Sutton and then Theodore Boveri. We have seen their picture just before, and they said that pairing and separation of pair of chromosomes, this lead to segregation of a pair of factors or the genes they carried. So which means that whenever there is separation of chromosomes, whenever there is segregation of chromosomes, there is these factors or these genes are also carried along with them, they are also segregated. So as the chromosomes are segregated, the genes are also segregated. So they are aligning in the same direction. So Sutton united the chromosomal segregation pattern. So he has seen the chromosomes, how they are segregating, and then he has also understood Mendelian principles. So through Mendelian principles, what are we observing? Through Mendelian principles, we are observing about the genes. So we know that genes are segregating here. So we identify the genes segregating from the Mendelian principle. But here, through Sutton's work, we see that chromosomal is also segregating. So since these two are working in a similar way, they identified that these genes are present on the chromosomes. So these genes, they are present on the chromosomes, and these chromosomes are carrying the genes in them. So there are so many genes which are carrying on the chromosomes, and they call this as chromosomal theory of inheritance. So this chromosomal theory of inheritance, it states that chromosomes are vehicles of heredity, are vehicles of genes which are carrying the heredity, and two identical chromosomes which are called as homologous chromosomes, and these homologous chromosomes are homologous pair of chromosomes they form. And these homologous chromosomes, one come from the father, another come from the mother. So one is maternal, another is paternal. The two chromosomes, there are two sets of chromosomes we have. We say that we are diploid, which means that we are having two sets of chromosomes. One is paternal and one is maternal. So paternal chromosome and maternal chromosome, they both are paired and they are homologous. Homologous means they are of same. So they are similar, and these homologous pair of chromosomes, they are segregating during the gamete formation. So since these are two present together, but during the gamete formation, what happens is only one of these gamete is only one of the chromosome or one pair of chromosome, or only one chromosome is getting inside this. Out of this pair of chromosomes, or out of this homologous pair of chromosomes, only one enters into the gametes. So here this is occurring during the meiosis. So during the meiosis, these diploid are two sets of chromosome, out of which only one set of chromosome is entered into the gametes. So this gamete is carrying only one set of chromosome. So these independent pairs, they are segregating independently of each other. So this clearly tells that chromosomes are the ones which are carrying the genes, and these genes are present on the chromosomes, and these chromosomes, whenever they are splitting, they are carried along with the genes, and so only one gene is carried in the chromosome.